please give a warm welcome to Dr. Mickelson.
Well, thanks to those brave people that came back from lunch and are ready to go again. So thank you for being here today. I was asked to describe to you a little bit today about a new initiative that Yara is starting, and some of you may not even know what Yara is, so I'll spend a little time talking about that. We're trying to get some enthusiasm and energy around the concept of soil health and how that directly impacts the almond industry. So let me just briefly describe what Yara is, and then we'll jump into the soil health aspects of what I wanted to talk about today with the Soil Alliance. Yara sort of goes under the radar. Often people are using Yara products, but they don't know that that's where it's coming from. It is one of the largest fertilizer companies in the world. It's based in Norway, and probably the thing that they're best known for in California is the calcium nitrate products. But there are many employees. It's located around the world and a very well-known and established company. So as we talk about this Soil Health Alliance today, I wanted to just step back for a minute and talk about something that may not seem like it's related, but I think it is. There's this Japanese term called Kaizen. It's a Japanese term for continual improvement. And how this sort of started was back in the 1960s, Japanese manufacturing was not known for its high quality. They brought over some consultants and they established what they called the Kaizen method of making very small, incremental, gradual changes. So while the Japanese industry and the auto industry in particular was improving, the United States was producing fine automobiles like this Chevy Vega and the AMC Gremlin. So the US industry was on a continual decline, and they said this Vega almost single-handedly bankrupted General Motors because it was so bad. AMC went out of business shortly after they introduced the Gremlin. Looking at a recent auto magazine, Lexus by Toyota once again received the award for top quality car in the United States. So the Japanese manufacturing upped their game in the 70s using this Kaizen method, and the United States industry went the opposite way. So it's this principle of making small, gradual improvements. And so I can imagine the daunting task of this wood chopper asked to cut this tree with a little axe. Each little chip made almost no impact on that log until there were thousands of little chips that finally cut that log in half. I recently spent a couple years in Africa, and I see how this gradual change makes a big difference. This is how they fertilize in Africa. They use a bottle cap from a Coke bottle or something, or a 7-Up bottle. They fill that with fertilizer and they carefully place it at the base of each plant, here in corn, for example. You think that's not enough to make a difference? But that gradual, that small amount of nutrition that you provide those plants totally changes the life trajectory of a family. Now they have enough food to eat. They have enough food to sell some surplus, send their children to school. So something that's very small, just a little bottle cap of fertilizer, really makes a huge difference. So these small differences, that Kaizen method really makes a difference, and we'll come back to that as we talk about soil health. So I was asked, why does Yara care about soil health and these sustainability things anyway? And maybe it's because of their Scandinavian roots. It's a Norwegian company. They take stewardship and sustainability very seriously. We hear about that very frequently. And they're very engaged in these UN sustainability goals. And they want to promote fertilizer products that will help nature, have positive solutions. And just last week, they launched the first tanker ship that was completely electric and autonomous. So not only are there no emissions, there's no crew on this ship, that's going to be sailing around the ocean. Well, I think there might be a crew for a little while, and so they're really forward-looking and trying to do things in a new way, this transform philosophy. They're also big into green ammonia, which is making nitrogen fertilizer. Instead of using fossil fuels, they actually split the water molecule to get the hydrogen off of that and make that into ammonia. It's called green ammonia. So lots of really cool initiatives that Yara is involved with. So this BetterSoil Alliance came about. We said there's got to be a better way to do things in the industry. We want to improve the way we use water, the way we improve nutrients. We want to lower our greenhouse gas emissions. What can we do differently? Yara can't do this alone, but how can we build a coalition, an alliance of people to start thinking about these things in a new way? So it is an alliance. It's open to anyone that wants to join. It's a participatory event, so it's not a Yara organization. I like this quote. It says, "You bring the good that you have, and let's see how we or Yara can add to it." That's really the spirit of this alliance. So there's a couple things that are confusing. I just want to mention quickly. Yara has an initiative called Agoro, and there's some representatives of Agoro here this afternoon. That is a carbon alliance. That's actually paying farmers to increase the carbon in their soil. So that certainly improves soil health, but that is a direct payment to farmers. For example, Delta Airlines is looking to buy carbon credits. They want to pay for their sin, I guess, of emitting carbon as they fly their jets around the world. So they're trying to incentivize farmers to build the carbon in their soil, and we will pay you for doing that. So that is the Yara Agoro program. So that's incentivizing people to have carbon building practices. This BetterSoil Alliance is a different beast altogether. That truly is an alliance, a partnership that is just getting started. It was launched last month, and we're open to all comers to come and discuss how we can do a better job with soil health. So it's a think tank of like-minded individuals. Yara has in their DNA this research and this desire to do things the right way. We have a series of crop experts around the country. A few years ago, Yara invested in a research farm near Modesto. It's 40 acres of almonds, 40 acres of walnuts, where we're testing all kinds of equipment and sensors and nutrition plans and irrigation scheduling software. So many of you have met Devin Clark before. He's our manager of the incubator farm there. We have one also in southern Alabama and one in western Canada, in Saskatchewan. So these are not commercial people. They're just there to help develop the knowledge of how to do a better job. So Devin has spent a lot of time in the Yara booth, if you'd like to meet him and ask him about this. Just quickly, talking about the Modesto Incubator Farm, it's very transparent. We have it open for anyone that wants to come and see. We publish the results on an annual basis. Last year wasn't one of our best years, but it was still a pretty good year. The year before, we had some great increases in water use efficiency, nutrient use efficiency, greenhouse gas emissions. So we're documenting how to make changes in our almond production system that improve the sustainability. So these reports are all available at our booth, and we're gradually making increases, making improvements. We're learning more about how to tweak those systems as we partner with other people to do this. I have a little video, but I'm not sure. I might just skip that. It talks about the importance of knowledge and collaboration and what we're doing there at the Modesto farm. Doesn't look like it's doing its thing right now. So I mentioned Yara is very engaged in soil health. We even have a position paper that we publish to the world saying, soils matter. And it makes sense for a plant nutrition company that if our soils aren't healthy, our farmers are not successful. So we're very engaged. We're spending a lot of time and effort on soil health. So particularly what that means as we translate it, we want to prevent soil degradation. And realizing this is a global company, we see a lot of situations in the world where soils are severely degraded. Nutrient depletion is causing soil mining. We're removing that nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. We're degrading the organic matter. And one way to improve this is through the balanced and precise use of plant nutrients. So we spend a lot of time on that. We also promote the principle of integrated nutrient management. If you're not familiar with that, it's saying if you have organic nutrients, use those, and then supplement them with whatever inorganic nutrients you might need. So it's not a competition, we're good, they're bad. It's get whatever nutrients you need in the way that makes sense for you. And then Yara is one of the originators of the 4R nutrient stewardship concept of using nutrients in the right source, rate, time, and place. So when we talk about soil health, I always get a little squeamish. I go, well, are you trying to sell me something? What does this really mean? Do you have a jug of something that I can sprinkle on my soil and it'll do magic? Someone was showing me something this morning that it was from an ad in the Midwest. You had 6 gallons of this miracle product and it will replace 200 pounds of nitrogen. That sounds too good to be true here for some reason. And often when we talk about soil health, I just get a little bit uncomfortable because it's often a management practice that is special somehow, or there's some kind of product that's going to do great things that doesn't have much science behind it. But the objectives of soil health, of improving soil water productivity, improving our nutrient use efficiency, specifically getting more nuts per pound of nutrient, boosting the physical, the biological, and chemical processes and properties of the soil. We know that healthy soils have more disease resistance, they store more carbon in the soil, and we have greater root health and tree productivity. So I think we can all get behind these objectives as principles of soil health. And then how we get there is part of this alliance that we are launching and want to have participation. Some of this is coming about because the food companies, the people that buy our almonds, are saying, we want you to document what sustainability practices you're doing. And sometimes this may not seem totally fair because they want us to grow the almonds sustainably, but don't necessarily want to reward the farmers for doing that. But McDonald's, Unilever, Danone, Nestle, on, they all have made these pronouncements in the public about why soil health matters. This is one that got a lot of attention. This is from Wrangler. Those of you that may have Wranglers on today said Wrangler believes that our supply chain does not begin with fabric or cotton. It begins with the soil and the land itself. And so they are making a change in the way they buy their cotton to document that they are getting their supplies from farmers that are using soil preserving practices. And so Wrangler is saying that we're doing reduction in water use, sustainable cotton, renewable energy, clean chemistry, or how they dye their fabrics, actually. So big, audacious goals by these companies. Here's some more. General Mills says they're going to reduce 30% of their greenhouse gases. Mars says 27% reduction by 2025. 2025 used to seem like a long ways away, but that's just a few more years now. And so we hear about these things, and now they're looking to us to help implement them. And us includes Yara. And it turns out there was a study done, Dr. Kendall at UC Davis a few years ago said that nutrient management is the biggest single contributor of greenhouse gases in almond production. And so when Yara learned that, it said, we're the biggest contributors? We thought we were the good guys. Said we need to do something to help reduce those greenhouse gas emissions. And so we are definitely working on that. And two ways that we're doing that: one, we've invested hundreds of millions of dollars in our manufacturing for calcium nitrate, for example. This is the carbon emissions from calcium nitrate produced the Yara way with a special catalyst, the North American or Russian way, and the China production way. So the Yara footprint for every pound of calcium nitrate is about a quarter of that, which comes from imported calcium nitrate from China. So the calcium nitrate may be the same, but how it's manufactured makes a big difference. And some other work we've been involved with is looking at nitrous oxide or greenhouse gases coming from the almond soils themselves. And you see, just by switching from UAN to calcium nitrate, we get a big reduction in nitrous oxide. So we don't have time to talk about the chemistry, but we understand sort of why this is happening, and feel like this is something, again, that Yara, that has a lot of nitrate-based products, can make a contribution to the sustainability of almond production. Also, we know that plants in the Rosacea family prefer nitrate in general. That's almonds, but also apples, apricots, berries, peaches, plums. And so by using a nitrate-based fertilizer, you can see, maybe a little hard in this slide, over here where it's 100% nitrate, there's white roots that are being produced by the tree, compared to these over on this side, which have 100% ammonium. The roots are only dark, and they're not growing new shoots. I don't know if you've seen these movies the last couple of years. Kiss the Ground was a real popular one. Woody Harrelson, who wouldn't believe Woody, right? And Dirt, that had Tom Brady, his wife Giselle. They were all spokespeople for these movies. Said, if you just change simple things, you're going to have a happy ending. That's the Hollywood way to do it, right? You've got this great story to tell. The world would just be in peace if we just managed our soils right. Well, it's a lot harder than that. It's not always a Hollywood ending that you can wrap up in an hour. It's going to take a lot of hard work to get this. We're facing sustainability challenges of water supply. We heard about that some of the sessions this morning. Water quality is some challenge with salinity, maybe nitrate in the irrigation water. Markets and profitability go up and down. Air quality issues, soil quality. And as I put this list together, I said, there's only one that we can't really see with our eyes easily, and that's soil quality. And maybe that's why I put it last on the list. It's often overlooked. These other things we can measure. So soil health, again, I mentioned it makes me a little squeamish sometimes, but I like it, but I don't know how to tell you to do it sometimes. And I get a little perturbed when I see these things from the Midwest. It says, okay, you need to grow animals healthy, you need to add compost manure, this is the way you get soil health, you need to mix up rotational grazing, and I don't have any problem with these things, but on a 1.2 million acre almond production system, we're not going to have cattle grazing under all these trees. And so, I don't know if you're like me, I just say, okay, forget it. I'm not even going to think about it. Those guys are telling us stuff that's crazy. Well, we can't take things from Oklahoma and put it in California, but there's a lot we can do. I sort of like this little checklist. Does it blow away or flow away? Does the water soak in quickly? Does the soil drain? Does it crust? Does your crop remove the nutrients? Are there places where the plants and the trees aren't growing? Well, if the answer to those are no, then you need to work on your soil health. And we'll get into all the measurements and the indicators and the laboratory tests a little bit later. But I think the concept we can all agree on pretty well. And what we're trying to do is grow healthy roots, these little fine single cell root hairs. That's where the action is on our trees. We're trying to keep those little critters happy. And that's really what we're doing this for. I'm hoping there's some other geeks in here, but this is a picture of root hairs growing. And I hope anyone else finds this interesting and not as boring as watching paint dry. But this is what we're trying to do. It's just a miracle, really. This is what these trees are putting out, these little cells that last between a few hours and a day or two, and then they die. And when we can keep these cells healthy, when they're taking up water and nutrients, when they're living in association with bacteria and organisms, that's when we're starting to get a healthy soil that pays a return for almond growers. Now, when we look at where almonds are grown, these are the little blue dots through the Central Valley. It's long and varied. And we look at the soils in California, and they're very diverse. Obviously, one size does not fit everyone. And say, this is how you do soil health for almonds. It's going to be individual, it's going to be customized, it's going to depend on your resources and your ability to manage these things. Just a few slides of some almond land. This is one from Patrick Brown. You see a little variability there, right? This is a picture about a mile from my home in Merced. This is an aerial photograph. There's a little variability there, right? And this is a soil pit from that same area. You go, ooh, this is tough stuff. But they grow almonds successfully. So I don't know if this is a healthy soil or not, but it's a mess, right? That's about an 8-foot cut there. So soil health, what we're trying to accomplish is improving nutrients and recycling, water, microbial function, biodiversity, filtering and buffering, root health, and stress resistance. We know we can do all of these things as we promote root health. And we want to preserve your ability to continue farming, which is under threat on a regular basis in California. So clearly there's not a single answer. Not every almond orchard is going to look like this picture here. But maybe we can move in that direction. So Yara, we were thinking, how do we get this to happen? We're a fertilizer company. We can't do all this alone. So we've been looking at partnerships and people that are like-minded. Some of you might have heard the talk by Dr. Carl Wyant yesterday on this stage from a company called Helier. They have a product called Phycoterra, which actually enhances the growth of soil bacteria. And in turn, that improves the soil physical properties of the soil. Now, I must admit, as a soil scientist, I was a little bit ignorant of the processes of this, and as I started reading about it, I think I'm the last one to the party. Everyone knew the benefits of activating these soil bacteria and what they do in the soil. Here's a couple recent papers that cover the topic very well. So Yara got pretty excited and said, well, this is a start. We can start looking at this product in conjunction with good nutrition and see what that does to soil health. And that was really the start of this Soil Alliance. I said, well, let's just keep the party going. There's other participants, other people that need to be part of this discussion. So the BetterSoil Alliance was just launched, and it was to, again, document improvements for water use, soil health, greenhouse gas emissions, and it's an open call for anyone that wants to join. In this case, Yara, we bring a lot of plant nutrition expertise. Helier and Phycoterra bring a lot of soil biology expertise. But let's get this conversation started. And so what we've done actually is we're launching a program that we're providing incentives to almond growers to try out some of these packages and reward them and prevent any risk of market of failures of crops or any yield loss. We feel confident in enough that these soil health building practices will be financially rewarding. So we're looking for farmers that will use this My Almond package that we've been developing on our farm. We want to have open information. We'll do crowdsource. Everything's out in the public. We're sharing our information. We'll measure success by measuring water productivity, nutrient use, efficiency, yield, and profit. It's not just an academic exercise, but we want to help you stay in business and do better. So we're engaging farmers, we're engaging the supply chain, we're engaging the shippers and haulers, the food chain, the Mars companies that buys our almonds, all of these companies are participating in this. So we're doing sign-ups right now through this month, basically. And I'll give you some information on how to sign up just to express your interest and see if this would be a good fit for you. And then there's monetary rewards for your success. We want to incentivize you for taking a little risk, trying something new that we feel confident will pay off. So specifically, they're looking for farmers that are growing over 80 acres, or advisors that work with growers over 80 acres. I think that's a little bit flexible. They need to have either drip irrigation or microfertigation. Obviously, this is for people that want to innovate. So we want people that are passionate about improving almond production in California. People that care about soil stewardship, their tree productivity and profitability. So lots of information. As you can read all of these, we have these at our booth, and there's more information on how to sign up and how to become engaged in this. And so we're starting with this microalgae company in the Alliance, but just think the whole world of the exhibit hall is out there on how to improve sustainability and soil health. Looking at new biostimulants, there's 15 vendors out there in the hallway. Ag tech, there's all kinds of tools and sensors that ought to be involved in this. Irrigation equipment manufacturers and water managers, and even the harvesters and the equipment companies need to be engaged in this soil health discussion. So there's room for everyone to explore and test. Someone asked me, well, why is Yara doing this? Aren't you afraid that some other company might get a leg up on you and get the advantage? Well, we feel pretty confident in what we do, and I think competition makes you stronger. Growing up, I had a neighbor that lived around the corner, one of the best friends of my brother. He was athletic, but I had no idea what he would turn into be. This is Dave Scott. He's the one on the left there on both those pictures. He became the first person to win 6 Ironman triathlon championships back in the 80s. The person that came behind him almost every year was a guy named Mark Allen, came in second place. Mark Allen went on to win the next 6 Ironman championships after he sort of put Dave Scott, our friend, in his place. That competition between the two of them finally motivated Mark somehow to make a difference, and he became the world champion for about 6 years, which is remarkable in these Ironman competitions. So I feel that making some of these small changes and having healthy competition in this Soil Alliance will help all of us get better and to reach the goals that we're wanting to reach. So with that, I couldn't get into a lot of details about this Soil Alliance, but at our booth, we'd be glad to talk to you. And if you're interested in exploring more, I think we can do some exciting things together. So great. Thanks for your time then.